Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's get ready for a moment about those tough parenting moments. You know the ones I mean. The moments when your child just made down. Maybe they are learning to ride a bike and they fall, scrape their knee, get frustrated and throw their helmets down, yelling, I can't do this, it's too hard, I quit. Or picture this, your child is getting ready for a birthday party, excited to see their friends, but they can't find their favorite shirt. It's in the laundry, and suddenly the whole party is ruined and there is a soapy mess on the floor. Or maybe it's a bigger setback. Maybe they've been practicing for weeks for the school spelling bee and they get eliminated in the first round. Or they put their heart and soul into a science project and it doesn't get the grades they hope for. Those moments of disappointment, frustration, and that crushing feeling of I'm not good enough, they are tough. They are tough for our kids to experience, and honestly, they are just as tough for us as parents to witness. It's like watching a part of them crumble. What we're really talking about in these situations are their core are two incredibly important life skills: resilience and a growth mindset. And I'm not talking about some abstract psychological concept here. I'm talking about practical, everyday tools that can help our children navigate the inevitable challenges, setbacks, and disappointment that life throws in their way, not just during childhood, but throughout their entire lives. These are skills for life. So, what do those terms actually mean? Let's start with resilience. I like to think of it as having an internal shock absorber. You know, like in a car, life is full of bumps and potholes, and resilience is that ability to absorb those shocks, to recover from those bumps, to keep going even when the roads get rough. It's not about never falling down, it's about getting back up after you fall. It's about knowing that failure isn't the end of the story, it's just a chapter. And then there's a growth mindset. This is all about how we feel our abilities, our intelligence, our potential. A growth mindset is the belief that these things are not fixed. It's the understanding that we can learn, we can grow, we can improve through effort, through practice, through perseverance. It's the opposite of a fixed mindset, which says, well, I'm either good at this or I'm not, and there's not much I can do about it. A fixed mindset is like saying, I'm just not a creative person and they're never even trying to draw or write or play music. A growth mindset is saying, I might not be great at drawing right now, but I can get better if I practice. And the real cool thing is both resilience and a growth mindset are learned skills. They are not something you are just born with. They are something you develop. And that means that we as parents have a huge opportunity to help our children cultivate these qualities. Think about the impact this can have. Kids with resilience and a growth mindset are better equipped to handle stress and anxiety. They don't give up easily when they face a challenge. They keep trying. They are more willing to take risks and step outside their comfort zone because they are not afraid of making mistakes. They have higher self-esteem because they believe in their ability to learn and grow. And they tend to achieve more in all areas of their lives. It set them up for success. So how do we foster these amazing qualities in our children? Well, let's start with a tiny word that packs a huge punch. Yet. Seriously, this one little word can completely transform a child's perspective. It's all about adding yet to those moments of self-doubt, those statements of defeat. Think about it. When a child says, I can't do this, it sounds so fine and does it like a door slamming shut. It implies that their current inability is permanent, that there's no hope for improvement. But the moment you add yet, I can't do this yet, everything changes. Suddenly, it's not about a fixed limitation, it's about the possibility of future growth. It acknowledges the challenge they are facing right now, but it also instills hope and encourages them to keep trying. It's like instead of saying, I can't tie my shoes, it becomes, I can't tie my shoes yet. Instead of I don't understand this math problem, it becomes I don't understand this math problem yet. Instead of I'm not good at drawing, it becomes I'm not good at drawing yet. Do you hear the difference? It's subtle, but it's profound. It's like planting a seed of hope, a belief in the possibility of change. It's saying, okay, you are not there right now, but that doesn't mean you will never be there. With effort, with practice, with perseverance, you can get there. So start weaving yet into everyday conversations with your child. When they express frustration or discouragement, gently remind them of the power of yet. Help them reframe those negative thoughts, that self doubt, into something more positive and hopeful. And that brings us to another crucial point, how we talk about mistakes. Our culture, our culture unfortunately often send the message that mistakes are bad, that they are something to be ashamed of. We are pressured to be perfect, to get everything right all the time. But that's just unrealistic, is it? The truth is, mistakes are essential for learning. You literally cannot learn anything new without making mistakes along the way. Think about learning to walk. How many times do you stumble and fall before you finally took those four steady steps? Or think about learning to talk. All those mispronounced words and grammatical errors. Mistakes are how we figure things out. They are how we learn what works and what doesn't. They are how we grow. So instead of viewing mistakes as failures, we need to help our children see them as opportunities. Opportunities to learn, to adapt, to improve. Think of it like a scientist conducting an experiment. If the experiment doesn't go as planned, the scientist doesn't just throw up their hands and quit. They analyze what's happened, they figure out what went wrong, and they use that information to adjust their approach and try again. Or imagine a detective solving a mystery. Every wrong turn, every dead end actually bring them closer to the solution because they are learning what doesn't work. It's the same with our kids. Every mistake they make is a chance to learn something new. It's a chance to ask, okay, what happened there? Why didn't that work? What could I do differently next time? And the key to fostering this mindset is how we react when our children make mistakes. If we get angry or frustrated, or if we swoop in and fix everything for them, they are going to learn that mistakes are something to be avoided, something to be ashamed of. But if we respond with empathy, with understanding, with encouragement, they are going to learn that mistakes are okay, that they are a natural part of the learning process. So next time your child spills their milk, instead of sighing and say, oh, honestly, be more careful, try something like, oops, that happened. Let's grab a cloth and clean it up together. Or if they get a question wrong on their own work, instead of saying you aren't paying attention, you need to focus more, you could say, it looks like you got a little stuck on that one. Let's take a look at it together and see if you can figure out what happened. And if they do mess up, you can always ask, what did you learn? See the difference? You are shifting the focus from blame and punishment to learning and growth. You are creating a safe space for your child to make mistakes, to learn from them, and to keep trying. You are modeling a growth mindset yourself. And that brings us to another powerful tool, how we praise our children. For a long time, we were told that the best way to build self esteem was to praise kids' intelligence, to tell them how smart they were. But it turns out that kind of praise can actually backfire. It's called person praise, and it focuses on innate qualities like intelligence or talent. And the problem with person praise is that it can create a fixed mindset. If a child is constantly told you are smart, they might start to believe that their success is due to some inherent ability, something they are just born with. And that can make them afraid of failing because failure might mean they are not so smart after all. So they must try to avoid challenges or give up easily when things get tough. They might become more focused on looking smart than on actually learning. What we want to do instead is use process praise. This means focusing on the child's action, on the effort they put in, on the strategies they use, on the improvement they showed. So instead of saying you are so smart, when your child gets a good grade, you could say, wow, you really study hard for that test. I saw you reviewing your notes every night. All that effort really paid off. Instead of saying you are a natural athlete, when your child score a goal, you could say, I've noticed you've been practicing your skill every day. That dedication is really showing. You are getting so much stronger. Instead of saying you are such a talented artist, when your child draws something, you might say, I can tell you spent a lot of time on this. You are focusing on the process, on the effort, on the strategy the child used, and that reinforces the message that hard work and perseverance lead to improvement. It fosters a growth mindset. It's not just about praising success, though. It's also about praising effort and persistence, even when the outcome isn't perfect. It's about acknowledging the learning process, even when it's messy and challenging. And finally, let's talk about perseverance itself. That ability to keep going even when things are difficult. Because resilience isn't just about bouncing back from setback, it's also about pushing through challenges, about not giving up at this first sign of difficulty. Think of it like learning to play a musical instrument. It takes hours and hours of practice, sometimes frustrating practices. You will hit wrong notes, you will struggle with difficult passages, and you might even feel like quitting. But if you persevere, if you keep practicing, eventually you'll be able to play beautiful music. It's the same with any skill, any goal. Perseverance is essential. So, how do we encourage perseverance in our children? First, we need to create that safe space for them to struggle, to make mistakes, to not get things right the first time. We need to let them know that it's okay to not be perfect, that it's okay to face challenges, and we need to avoid the temptation to jump in and rescue them every time they encounter a difficulty. If we are constantly solving their problems for them, they will never learn to solve problems on their own. They will never develop that sense of mastery and self efficacy that comes from overcoming challenges. Instead, we can be there to support them, to encourage them, to guide them, but also to allow them to struggle a little bit, to let them experience the discomfort of not knowing the answer, of not being able to do something perfectly right away. And we can share stories of perseverance, stories from our own lives, or stories from famous people who overcome obstacles through hard work and determination. Those stories can be incredibly inspiring for children, showing them that even the most successful people have faced setbacks and challenges. So let's encourage our children to embrace challenges, to view mistakes as learning opportunities, and to never give up on their goals. Let's teach them the power of yet, the importance of effort, and the value of perseverance. These are gifts that will serve them well, not just now, but throughout their entire lives.